Geokinetic system online. Scanner damaged. Repair required. Aerial propulsion jetpack online. Multi-tool and mining laser attachment operational.
What's up, Gamer Nation? Heretic here, bringing you a kick-ass review for No Man's Sky by Hello Games. Now, first off, I want to address some things before I get into the review. First off, this game has been anticipated for a while because of its unique concept, and that concept is going from the sky, going from the ground, going to the sky, and going into space, and traveling from planet to planet in your own freaking spaceship. You know, system to system, galaxy to galaxy, all seamlessly, whatever, without any load times. It's all seamless. But the developers have been somewhat shady in their comments in their recent interviews. There's been a lot of delays in this game. The main controversy was whether this game would have multiplayer or not. And some people, upon release, have been kind of outraged and disappointed as, well, first of all, this game is not as deep as some people thought it might be. I'll get to my impressions and my pre-impressions later on. And secondly, let me just get this out of the way. There's no multiplayer in this game. This game would have been a little bit better with multiplayer, but not extremely mind-changingly better because of the core gameplay aspects of it. But, there has been a lot of bullshit in this video game generation, and anytime a developer is vague about their intentions for certain gameplay features, I do not take it to heart, because it's half of these developers are just straight up bullshit. EA, Ubisoft, they show you the best shit at E3, and then you wind up not getting that awesome shit that they showed you during those conferences. You expect them to bring their A game when they show you the game upon announcement, and upon release you expect a working product with those said features that they advertised, but sometimes that is not what you get. And Hello Games, it's a small team who made this game, about 8, maybe 14 people, I forget the number. It's a very small team, and they're trying to create something so ambitious that it's hard to integrate multiplayer into this kind of game. And honestly, I would not have faulted them for them immediately coming out and saying, yeah, this game is a little big, it's procedurally generated, there's just no way we can technically squeeze in multiplayer, even though that would be fantastic. I would have been all for that. But ultimately, I guess the lead director, Sean Murray, he opted to instead, interview after interview, he continued to be vague about whether there would be multiplayer in it. And that, even though I expect something like that from a bigger developer, I don't see what the point was, only except just to get more sales by implying that there would be multiplayer in it. And there is an online component to this game, but it is not multiplayer. You will not be flying around in a spaceship with your buddy from planets to planets exploring. No, it does not work that way. Honestly, I don't know why they had to be misleading about it. It's a small team. You could have just come out and said, no, we don't have it. But honestly, after my impressions of the game, multiplayer would not have changed how I feel about this game that much. And I'm just so sad that some of these smaller developers who I want to support, like these guys, for example, for giving us this game, that they kind of fall into that pit trap of, yeah, we're gonna have to sell this game because it's not gonna be for the mass audiences like Call of Duty would. It's not gonna be a mindless shooter. It's gonna be something more specific. And honestly, I understand they need the sales, but you don't have to be misleading about it. But once again, I did not buy into that bullshit. As soon as I saw the interviews, I know better. I'm a 20-year gamer, 25-year gamer, I guess, and I don't buy into the bullshit. So with that being said, let's get on to the review. Okay, let me make this clear. Once again, this game is epic. This game is epically big on another level. Now, technically, I don't know how a procedurally generated game is supposed to work. I don't know what kind of, you know, programming goes into these levels to make them as they are. Obviously, it's not physically infinitely big, or otherwise it would be like 1 terabyte, 1 million terabytes on a single disk. That's not how it works. Now, what you have here is a first-person exploratory game. It's sci-fi, you know, there is an overarching story, but the story is very minimalistic. You're going to be mostly going from planet to planet, you know, on the surface of moons and different lands and different environments, mining materials. It's sort of a survivor game, but it's not really a survival game. You're going to be harvesting mines, ores, many different elements to slowly upgrade your equipment. That includes weapons, that includes your mining tools, that includes your spaceship. Basically, that's the core mechanic, is mining until you can have enough resources to craft these other specific items, you know, like warp cells, which you can use to warp between systems. And basically, that's all there is to say about the game. This game is very easy to review. You sort of have elements of Minecraft in there. You have some small, very minor combat mechanics that require you to shoot things every now and then, but like I said, every system of this game is pretty simple and minimalized and very toned down. Like I said, they were going for a very specific demographic. If I were to describe this game, uh, I would say it's more along the lines of Journey, that old PlayStation 3 game. From the moment I saw this game, the gameplay, I knew exactly what we were gonna get, more or less, and that is a very laid back and relaxed game where you just go from planet to planet, you know, discovering life, discovering different environments, you know, slowly trekking your way across the galaxy like, you know, an individual lone badass. And it's just a relaxing visual experience. But as for the gameplay itself, like I said, there's not much to go on. Everything is super simplified in order for you to just kick back. This is one of those games where, you know, if you're tired of being shot at in military shooters all the time, you know, you can just take a break here and relax and enjoy all these planets and their environments, you know, in high definition. You know, it's more slow paced and a deliberate pace that's designed to be more enjoyable. Honestly, besides the fact that we were all misled into thinking this game has multiplayer, which it still doesn't, I'm not going to stop hammering that. This game doesn't really have that many flaws per se. There's just a couple of nitpicks here and there. First of all, every time you enter into a planet, there's always these pop-in issues that look freaking noticeable. I'm just gonna say noticeable. But other than that, technically there's nothing else wrong. Loading times, there's no loading times. That's a good thing because these environments are pretty huge. But like I said, there's those pop-in issues that are gonna break your immersion. Um, as well as this game can be a little repetitive, not tedious per se, because everything flows well, everything functions well. It's just very repetitive. You'll be doing the same thing over and over, and nothing really ever changes because, like I said, this game has to fit within a parameter of its procedural gameplay, and you're not going to be doing that much besides, you know, harvesting materials, every now and then interacting with NPCs. There are some outposts to discover. There's also some other sites to explore as well, such as alien sites where you can learn actually an alien language word by word, but it's going to take a hell of a long time because there's a few alien races out there that you're going to be interacting with. Like I said, it's nothing big, it's nothing in-depth. You're not going to be going on quests with these aliens. You're not going to be, you know, making deals. You're just going to be trading with them basically for more parts, weapons, and ship parts. Like I said, it's nothing in depth. Unfortunately, this game could have been so much more, but it has to be within a specific parameter. So interaction with NPCs is limited only to trading, which is not a deal breaker. It's kind of disappointing. But like I said, these activities, like scanning the environments for different crafting parts, different drop zones with uh, upgrades to your inventory and jetpack. Uh, these side missions, well, not even missions. These activities are just repetitive. They continue throughout the game. There's some other little quirks too, like scanning animals, discovering new planets, and if you're the first one to discover these planets, you can actually name them whatever you want, and upload them to the servers, which gives you more credits for trading and buying more materials, which I think is a nice little touch. There's also some space battles in there. The space battles, I've only encountered one. I'm sorry, I didn't record it. I've only encountered one space battle, but there are space battles. But like I said, the combat in this game is very limited. The space battles, all you do is move the stick around and then press X to shoot. That's it. It's basically it's as easy as Galaga, only in 3D. Um, and the ground combat, it's very straightforward as well. There's only a couple weapons I used. There's the mining tool, which can do some damage to the sentinels, which are dispatched every time they catch you mining a planet for materials. They inherently are designed to protect their planet from and their resources, but the combat is straightforward. There's also the machine gun that you can use that's directly used for combat. I mean, it's just like the space battle. You point your weapon at the enemy and shoot, but there's no enemy. You're not going to be battling, the other NPCs that you find, the other alien races. It's just sentinels, from my experience. So yeah, based on the fact that you're going to be only fighting one enemy type, yeah, this game could get repetitive. It's not a combat game per se, but there's just a combat element in it, and it rarely happens. Like you're rarely gonna be fighting, so don't go in expecting a Doom level gameplay where baddies spawn at every corner. No, no, no. The combat in this game is balanced well, along with the exploration aspects. But like I said, the game is very repetitive, so expect to be doing the same thing that you're seeing right here over and over, which begs the question, how much value does this have if you're going to be doing the same activities over and over? Well, short term, of course, it depends on how far you want to take it, how many alien languages you want to, take the time to learn. I mean, you don't even need to learn any of the languages per se to do the trading. It's just there just as an extra thing. Long term, this game, like I said, they knew it would be very particular. That's why they were misleading about it, because of course it's all about sales. So after all is said and done, does this game live up to the ambitions? Well, I would say, simply put, yes, because my expectations were set right from minute one. Barring the shadiness of the multiplayer component, I didn't think there was going to be multiplayer in this game after how evasive the developers were. So my expectations were in the right spot. I would say this game is worth about $20. I could not ask you or tell you to buy this game at full price, because simply put, the content is oversimplified. There's some other games that in this generation that have been oversimplified that I just don't think they have that longevity to them. This game has about like 2 hours worth of content, slightly varied up after that 2 hours, and you've basically seen everything. But I've got to give it to the developers. They were ambitious. They had a distinct vision for this game. If you have the right expectations, I think this game lives up to it, because you do what you've seen in the trailers. You travel from planet to planet, making your way in the galaxy by yourself. It's sad that you can do it with a friend, but Ultimately, I think the core mechanics are too simplified, and even with a friend, it would not have made it a better game. You know, it still would have been the same, you know, not grind fest, but it would have still been still more or less the same trek or adventure throughout the galaxy, you know, just with a buddy to fly around with. But you know, this game reminds me of the old days when games used to have ambitions, you know, and uh, ideas. And you know, I just feel that the industry these days is just too safe. It's either a first person shooter or a cover based shooter. You know, it's the indie developers that crank out the awesome ideas, and this is an awesome idea. It's just the lack of depth in the gameplay is, it just doesn't make up for, you know, how simple it is. But this takes me back to the good old days when games had balls to explore new ideas and new venues and new concepts. It's just, this game is okay. That's it. But it is still epic, and I think it is worth a shot, a couple of hours of your time. I don't think it's one of those games that's going to stick with you, but the moment to moment gameplay, you know, traveling the solar systems, it's unreal, and it's very surreal, and it's unlike anything I've ever personally played. But unfortunately, take away the planet to planet travel, and you're left with just a simple bare bones survival game where the mechanics are very simplified and just they're too easy, and they just don't hold your attention. But once again, this game is ambitious, it is epic. It's just the lack of depth that might turn some people off, especially when you're going through it solo. So yeah, I'd give this game a 6 out of 10. I'd recommend to most of you guys, if you want to try something different, give it a shot. I'm not going to hold you back, and you shouldn't be deterred just because it's not another mainstream AAA title. Please don't fall into that line of thinking. These kind of ideas push the industry, in my opinion. These moments where, you know, where you're shooting off a planet by yourself with no restrictions. This is what defines the interactive entertainment art form that is known as video games. So with that being said, this is going to be the end of the review. I got some more updates coming for you guys. I got a Deus Ex review coming for you guys next week when it comes out, and I hope to see you then. This is Heretic, signing off.